stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call.
Well, hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. Today is Monday, May 16th, 2022, and this is episode number 349 of a show that provides insight and tools to build the life and homestead of your dreams. And since it is a Monday, we have a Men of Order Monday episode lined up for you, where we cover the top 5 trending topics, focusing on one. And if you don't know what Men of Order is, you should, and here's how you can find out more. menoforder.com. And basically, Men of Order is an archive of masculinity and mindset archive columns to help mature men acquire wealth and power. We've got an awesome archive of articles ranging from money, dating, mindset, sports, tech, culture, and recently we've got a whole area of the website dedicated to the Joe Rogan Experience, where we break down episodes, provide timestamps so you can get quick, easy updates of the important shows that you can reference easily, timestamps that'll take you exactly to what you want to know and when. So check it out, menoforder.com. The top 5 trending articles that we've got are emergency baby formula alternatives, which is an article written by Jev. And this is not medical or nutritional advice. The FDA does not approve the message that's shared there. And all experts worthy of the New York Times disagree with this article. So if you are interested in emergency baby formula alternatives, check out menoforder.com/emergency-baby-formula-alternatives. The other trending article is Finding Comfort in Uncomfortable Conditions, written by Cassius Cam. And he writes that the path to inner peace is laid in bricks firmly fastened by voluntary discomfort. Start building. This is a good one. The coddling of the Western mind has snowballed into our society's largest obstacle. Ethics, morality, and integrity have been stowed away like a transient in a rail car. The grit that solidified our nation's prowess has been substituted for cheap thrills, quick fixes, and shallow desires. Convenience and excess has created a paradigm for the modern American, a paradigm in which capable yet unmotivated people feel entitled to, well, entitlement. If you like what you hear and you want to read more, menoforder.com, Finding Comfort in Uncomfortable Conditions. Got an article by Cassius Cam. That's the second top trending article this week. Third up, we've got 6 Steps to Succeed in the Great Resignation, written by yours truly, released yesterday. And these 6 steps you need to successfully step down, or the 6 steps you need to successfully step down from your job during the Great Resignation, no matter where you are on your journey to independence and freedom. And in this article, we'll touch on what the Great Resignation is, understanding the Great Resignation. We'll take a look at some of the trends taking place in the Great Resignation, and then ultimately the 6 steps that you need to succeed in the Great Resignation, followed by what we need to do to embrace the Great Resignation. All right? Next up, we've got the top 3 alternatives to Gmail. Now, Gmail is a go-to email service for billions of people. It's free, it's easy to use, and it has a ton of bonus features, but it's not very private. Now, your data is shared with third parties with every email that you send within Gmail. And there's some safe alternatives that you can check out in this article written by Kamar Daniel. Real quick, we got Proton Mail, Tutanota, and Countermail. All right, I am familiar with Proton Mail. I've been using it for a while, and my VPN is also Proton VPN. Very easy to use, and currently I am using the free version at home, and I will likely level up at some point. So I've got VPN on all my devices. But if you want to learn more, menoforder.com, top 3 alternatives to Gmail. And finally, the 5th trending article is by Nick Demondi. Inflation is about to get worse before it gets worse. And in this article, he takes a 10,000-foot view of what is happening in the global economy and where smart money is investing. Okay, so check this out. menoforder.com, topics on money, dating, mindset, sports, tech, culture, and a whole section devoted to Joe Rogan and more. But today, since this is the first episode after I resigned from my job, I felt inspired to write this article yesterday, 6 Steps to Succeed in the Great Resignation. And I'm just going to go ahead and read this article to you today, since I've got the ability to do that here in the home office. So let's get right into it, shall we? The 6 steps you need to successfully step down from your job during the Great Resignation, no matter where you are on your journey to independence and freedom. So what is the Great Resignation? The Great Resignation is a phenomenon that began in early 2021. This is an ongoing trend that consists of employees voluntarily quitting their jobs. Multiple sources indicate that the Great Resignation is an idea proposed by Professor Anthony Klotz of Texas A&M University. He predicted a large number of people will leave their jobs after the COVID pandemic ends and life returns to normal. A year into the Great Resignation, and it remains increasingly difficult to find quality people to fill open positions. Business owners and executives within the corporate world are wondering, when will life return to normal? But the Great Resignation is a new reality. It is the new normal. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Now, understanding the Great Resignation. There's a considerable amount of debate why people are changing jobs or leaving the workforce. Many people attribute the increased pattern of behavior to the arrival of COVID-19 and the subsequent job losses. Others, like Professors Joseph Fuller and William Kerr, believe that the Great Resignation is the continuation of a trend of rising quit rates that began more than a decade ago. And there are some graphs and charts from The Conversation, linked to in the show notes, that shows the quit rate is at an all-time high, with the share of workers who are voluntarily quitting their jobs reaching a record level in September at 3%. And it has been rising since what appears to be late 2009, early 2010, rising significantly up until COVID, or the time of COVID, when that rate decreased significantly. Okay, so it's important to look at the context of the quit rates before and a little bit after. Now back to the article. Now in their article, the Great Resignation didn't start with the pandemic. They write, 5 main factors are at play in this trend: retirement, relocation, reconsideration, reshuffling, and reluctance. All of these factors are here to stay. There are many ways to look at what's happening with the Great Resignation. Many explanations are driven by global political and economic bias, and you won't find those here. Now, some of the trends we can see from Investopedia. Harvard economist Jason Furman argued in June 2021 that the elevated rate of people leaving their jobs was in line with the rising number of job openings, suggesting competition among employers was driving resignations. A record 4.5 million workers quit jobs for reasons other than retirement in March 2022, representing an increase of 152,000 from February 2022, according to JOLTS data. Job openings of 11.55 million at the end of March were also the highest on record. You can find links to all of this in the article, which you will find in the show notes. And there's also a chart which shows the percent of workers who quit their jobs across all industries and regions from 2020 through 2021 up until March of 2022. And that has significantly risen since, or consistently risen rather, since April of 2020. And these statistics come from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Now you can see the percentage of people leaving their jobs has steadily increased from 2020 after an initial dip immediately following the Q2 COVID surge. Retirement, relocation, reconsideration, reshuffling, and reluctance all play a role in this. Now, no matter the reason, if you've been thinking about making a career move, here are 6 steps you can take to ensure success. 6 steps you need to succeed in the Great Resignation. And you may have family or friends that have voluntarily resigned from their jobs, and you may be thinking about doing so yourself. But the Great Resignation is more than simply leaving your job. It's a radical change in mindset. Step 1, get out of debt. You must learn how to manage your finances. So what is debt? Debt is something, usually money, that is owed to another. Debt is a tool for people to acquire things they could not otherwise afford. A debt arrangement gives one person the permission to borrow money under the condition that it is paid back at a later date, usually with interest. There are 2 camps when it comes to debt: debt-free and debt is a tool. Now, debt can be a useful tool, but only after you learn to live free of it by mastering the art of spending less than you make. Step 2, establish an emergency savings fund. An emergency savings fund is a separate savings or bank account used to cover large, unexpected expenses. Conventional wisdom is to build this up to 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. Now, if you follow a plan to get out of debt and then familiarize yourself with budgeting, it becomes much easier to understand what your living expenses actually are. Methods like the debt snowball can help you do both while seeing progress on savings. If you typically have trouble saving, consider an accountability partner. For example, entrust a loved one with a safe and have your emergency savings fund in cash. They keep the safe in a secure location and you keep the keys. To access the money, a discussion must be had about the nature of the emergency and exploring alternative options before accessing the funds. Understanding your patterns of behavior when it comes to spending may require you to swallow your pride and ask for help with this step. And before I continue on with step 3, guys, I just want to make it very clear that this is the route that I'm going. I've demonstrated in my own life that I have problem managing my savings and determining what a quote emergency actually is. So I've entrusted a loved one with a safe, and I've done exactly that, where they control the safe and I control the keys. And in order to access my emergency fund, we have to sit down and have a discussion about that. All right? So lots of options, but if you want to make progress and continue growing, sometimes it requires doing something a little uncomfortable, like putting your pride aside in order to make the progress that you want to make. Let's continue. Step 3, develop a plan. Now, your plan is more than simply an exit strategy from your career. The Great Resignation isn't simply leaving your job. You are exiting the current systems. You are writing the next chapter of your life. Consider putting a significant amount of time, effort, and energy into your plan. Once you become debt-free and begin allocating your money into your emergency fund, the amount of mental clarity you will gain will allow you to begin refining your plan in ways you may have never considered before. Debt freedom and emergency savings are the first 2 critical components of your plan. Execute those steps, and the rest of your plan will come together. Part of your plan should be to surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. Express your intent to them and accept their help when they offer it to you. Be gracious and say thank you when you've received their help. Offer help in turn to others when you can, and be involved in your community. And there's a great quote that I included in the blog post, a quote from Earl Nightingale that I'll share with you now. Don't concern yourself with the money. Be of service. Build, work, dream, create. Do this, and you'll find there is no limit to the prosperity and abundance that will come to you. That's a quote from The Strangest Secret, something by Earl Nightingale, recorded in the 1950s. I'll go ahead and include that in the show notes as well for your reference. Highly recommend that you listen to that and you listen to it regularly. Number 4, build a nest egg. After you've compiled your emergency fund, it's time to stack cash. By now, you're likely accustomed to the idea of living below your means. You're going to continue this pattern and stack cash. You are on a mission now, and you've got your eyes on the prize. This is the hold my beer moment that you are wholly dedicated to, the task at hand. And that hold my beer moment, it's a little shout out to Scramblin', Brian Norton from the audience. He is the one that told me about that phrase, and I felt compelled to include that in the article. So thank you, Brian, for the note. And I didn't read that quite right. So let me read that again, and I will go ahead and continue reading. You are on a mission now, and you've got your eyes on the prize. This is the hold my beer moment in that you are wholly dedicated to the task at hand. The plan you've got in place will allow further refinement as you continue putting money away towards your goal. You are getting closer to the time when you can take real action. Step 5, execute your plan. You've been putting in the time, effort, and energy. You've paid off your debt and you've established your emergency funds. You've got a solid plan in place and have been adjusting it consistently. You're confident and ready to take the next step. Punch your fear in the face and do it. You haven't worked this hard for nothing. Take action. Step 6, adapt, improvise, and overcome. This is the key to success when it comes to the action taken on the plans that we've made. The only constant in life is change, and we need to be flexible to maintain success. As the football coaches say, bend, but don't break. Now, embracing the Great Resignation. The past few years have encouraged many to revisit their life paths. Everyone has their own reason for leaving their past behind and walking towards independence, freedom, and liberty. You have your reasons and I have mine. And it's not always an easy path, but it's the righteous path. It's the royal path. Life is full of change, and these 6 steps will empower you to pivot when necessary and succeed. Guys, I look forward to catching you tomorrow on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. I appreciate you tuning in today. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.
In a world of pain, what can I do? The needs are many, and answers are few. People turn away, and I wonder why. If I can help somebody, then I want to try. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. And truth stand together, we'll never fall. We can make a difference and answer the call. You know the times are wasting every day, and we can help somebody along the way. People may think that it's odd that I believe in friendship and love. Truth is always the best way to the world that may seem odd. I'm an odd fellow. You're an